Alien slave girl thought middle-aged human was buying her for torture, but he saved her instead. The auction hall was designed to feel clean. That was the first lie. The floor shined like polished stone, and the Lightsel traders liked to say it showed order. The lights above were bright but cold, meant to hide shadows instead of remove them. Everything smelled of disinfectant and metal. No blood, no chains in sight, no screaming. Yet every being in the hall knew the truth. This was a place where lives ended quietly. Lyra stood on the display platform with her hands folded in front of her, just as she had been trained. Her ankles were bare, her collar dull gray, its light steady. That meant she was compliant. That meant she was valuable. She kept her eyes down. If she looked up, she might see hope. And hope was dangerous. She had learned that lesson early. Around her, buyers sat in smooth, floating seats arranged in half circles. They came in many shapes and sizes. Tall ones with too many joints, short ones with eyes like glass, soft-bodied traders wrapped in expensive cloth. None of them looked at her face for long. They never did. They looked at her limbs, her posture, the data floating beside her name. Species Kashari. She didn't know what it meant. She learned quickly. The auctioneer's voice echoed through the hall, smooth and practiced. Next offering, lot 379, well-conditioned, no history of resistance, suitable for long-term ownership. Ownership. The collar around Lyra's neck warmed slightly, reminding her to stand straighter. She obeyed without thinking. Her body had learned before her mind could argue. A few buyers lifted their paddles. Numbers rose in the air. She did not look at them. She already knew what kind of beings bought girls like her. Then the air shifted. It was subtle, but Lyra felt it. A change in attention, a pause in the rhythm of the room. The auctioneer hesitated for half a breath. "Ah," he said, adjusting his tone, "we have a new bidder." Lyra's heart tightened. Slowly, against every instinct screaming inside her, she lifted her eyes. The human sat alone. He looked wrong, not monstrous, not impressive, just wrong. He was older than most buyers, middle-aged by human standards. His hair was dark but streaked with gray. His face carried lines, not from cruelty but from years of thinking and not enough rest. He wore simple clothing, no status symbols, no ornaments, no obvious wealth, and he was not smiling. That scared her more than anything. Most buyers smiled, some with hunger, some with pride, some with boredom. This one only looked tired. His eyes moved over her slowly, not like the others. He did not linger on her body. He did not tilt his head in curiosity or pleasure. He studied her the way one might study a broken machine, quiet, focused, and sad. Lyra felt cold. Humans were rare here, not unheard of, but rare, and humans had a reputation. They were adaptable, creative, persistent, and when they were cruel, they were said to be imaginative. Her breath caught. She had heard stories whispered in the holding cells, stories passed between slaves who vanished and never returned. Humans who bought slaves not for work, not for status, but for personal interests. The quiet ones were always the worst. The bidding continued. The human raised his paddle once. The price jumped. Another buyer clicked in annoyance and countered. The human raised his paddle again. Calm, certain, no anger, no excitement, just resolve. Lyra's hands trembled, but she kept them still. Her training held her in place even as her thoughts raced. This is it, she thought. This is where it ends. She imagined pain, not sharp but slow. Humans, the stories said, liked time. They liked control. They liked to see how much a body could endure before it broke. Her stomach twisted. The final bid sounded. "Sold," the auctioneer said brightly. "To the human buyer, lot 379 is yours." A soft chime rang through the hall. Just like that, her life changed hands. Lyra's knees almost buckled, but the collar stiffened her muscles, holding her upright. The human stood. He was taller than she expected, but not imposing. He moved carefully, as if aware of his own weight in the room. As he approached the platform, Lyra forced herself not to step back. Running was useless. He stopped a short distance away. Up close, she could see more details, small scars on his hands, a faint tremor in his left fingers, his eyes dark, observant, and deeply tired. He did not touch her. That was worse. Most buyers touched immediately, claimed their purchase, established control. The human only looked at the collar, then he turned to the auctioneer. "I want the transfer documents now," he said. His voice was calm, low. Human accented trade common, no threats, no raised tone. The auctioneer blinked, surprised, then nodded quickly. "Of course, sir, processing immediately." Lyra stared. "Why paperwork first?" The human waited while a screen flickered to life. He reviewed it carefully, reading every line. He corrected one clause, pointed out another. The auctioneer grew visibly nervous. "You are very thorough," the alien said with a polite laugh. The human did not laugh back. "I've seen what happens when people aren't," he replied. Those words stayed with Lyra. She was led off the platform by a handler drone, the collar guiding her steps. The human followed at a respectful distance. Not once did he speak to her. Not once did he command her. Her fear grew heavier with every step. "He is waiting," she told herself. "This is just preparation." They moved through sterile corridors to a private docking bay. A human ship waited there, medium-sized, practical, clearly modified for long travel rather than luxury. That, too, frightened her. Luxury buyers wanted comfort and pleasure. Long travel ships meant isolation. The ramp lowered with a quiet hiss. The handler drone released her at the threshold. "Property transfer complete," it said. Property. Lyra stood frozen, staring into the ship's interior. The human stepped past her, not forcing her forward. "You can come in when you're ready," he said. She flinched. Ready? Slaves were never ready. They were ordered. Her legs refused to move. The silence stretched. Finally, she stepped inside. The ship was clean, simple. Warm lights instead of harsh white. No cages, no restraints in sight. That confused her more than fear ever had. The human set his bag down and turned to her. "Medical bay is through there," he said, pointing. "Living quarters are on the left. You'll have a private room." Private, her ears rang. "I'll finish the paperwork," he continued. "You don't need to do anything right now." Lyra's chest tightened. This was it, the calm before. She gathered what little courage she had left and spoke, her voice barely audible. "Sir." He looked at her fully for the first time. "Yes," her hands clenched into fists. What kind of pain do you prefer?" The words fell into the air between them. The human went completely still. Then his face changed. Not anger, not amusement, horror. "What?" he said. Lyra forced herself to continue, tears burning her eyes. "I can endure most methods. If you want compliance faster, I can." "No," he interrupted sharply. The word cut through the room like a blade. She froze. The human took a step back, as if he needed space. "No," he repeated more quietly. That's not why I'm here." She stared at him, confused, terrified. "Then why?" she whispered. He looked away for a moment, jaw tight. When he looked back, his eyes were wet. "Because no one should live like this," he said. Lyra did not understand, not yet. But for the first time since the collar closed around her neck, something unfamiliar stirred in her chest. Not hope, not trust, but confusion. And confusion, she would later learn, was where freedom began. Lyra did not sleep. The private room was small but clean. The bed was soft. The temperature was perfect for her species. There was even a small light panel set to calming colors. None of that mattered. She sat on the edge of the bed with her back straight, hands resting on her knees, eyes fixed on the closed door. Private rooms were dangerous. They meant no witnesses. Her heart beat slowly but hard, each pulse reminding her that the collar was still there, still active. Still owned, the human had said nothing after his strange reaction. He had simply told her where the room was and walked away. That silence felt heavier than shouting. Lyra replayed his face again and again in her mind, the way his eyes had widened. The way his breath had caught when she asked about pain. That was not how buyers reacted. Buyers laughed or smiled or ignored questions like that because they enjoyed fear without explanation. This human looked broken. She did not know what to do with that. Hours passed. Or minutes, time felt wrong. Eventually, a soft chime sounded near the door. Lyra's body stiffened. The door slid open slowly. The human stood there holding a small tray. "I brought food," he said gently. "If you're hungry." Food. She stared at it. Most owners rationed food at first. Hunger made obedience easier. Hunger made bodies weak. "I can leave it here," he added when she did not move. "You don't have to eat now." He placed the tray on a low table near the door and stepped back. He did not watch her. He left. The door closed. Lyra's breathing came fast. Why would he do that? She waited. Nothing happened. No punishment. No hidden test. After a long time, she stood slowly and approached the tray. The food was fresh, warm, balanced for her biology. Better than what she received in the holding cells. Her hands shook as she ate. She cried quietly while chewing, not because she was grateful, but because she was terrified. Kindness had always been followed by pain. The next cycle began the same way, silence. The ship hummed softly as it traveled through open space. Lyra did not know where they were going. She was not told. She did not ask. Slaves who asked questions were marked as problems. She stayed in her room unless instructed otherwise. Then the human spoke to her again. "Lyra," he said, using her name correctly. I'm going to run a systems check. You don't need to assist unless you want to. Unless you want to. She stepped into the corridor slowly, unsure if her legs would hold her. The human was at a console checking data. He glanced at her. You're free to move around the ship, he said. Nothing here will hurt you. She waited for the condition. It never came. What do you want me to do? She asked. He paused. I want you to heal, he said honestly. That's not something I can command. Her chest hurt. Healing was not allowed in her world. Over the next few days, patterns formed. The human, his name was Aaron, she learned from overheard ship logs, never raised his voice, never used the collar, never issued commands, he asked. Sometimes she refused. She waited for consequences. None came. He worked long hours, repairing systems, reviewing documents, sending messages through secure channels. When he ate, he often forgot to finish his meals. When he slept, it was light and restless. She noticed the tremor in his hand was worse when he was tired. One cycle, she found him staring at a projection of legal code, his jaw clenched. They don't like this, he muttered. Who? She asked before she could stop herself. He looked up, surprised, then smiled slightly. People who profit from suffering, he said. They never do. Her ears flicked back in confusion. Then why did you buy me? She asked quietly. He leaned back in his chair, eyes tired. Because the system makes it easier to buy a life than free one, he said. And I'm very good at using broken systems against themselves. She did not understand fully, but something inside her shifted. The collar remained active. That bothered her more with each passing day. If he truly meant what he said, why not remove it? She finally asked. Why do you keep the collar on? She said one evening. Aaron did not answer immediately. Because if I remove it too soon, he said carefully, someone will accuse me of theft, not liberation, and then they'll take you back. Her blood ran cold. I won't let that happen, he continued. But I have to do this the slow way. The legal way. The human way. One cycle later, an official message arrived. Lyra watched from the doorway as Aaron read it. His face hardened. They're sending an inspector, he said. Routine check. Routine. That word meant pain in every language she knew. They will test you, she whispered, to see if I'm damaged. Aaron stood and faced her fully. You don't owe them anything, he said, and you don't owe me obedience. But the collar, I know, he said softly. I hate it too. For the first time, she believed him. The inspector arrived through a hollow channel. A tall, sharp-featured alien with polished authority and cold eyes. Human, the inspector said. Your purchase behavior is unusual. I follow the law, Aaron replied calmly. The inspector's gaze shifted to Lyra. Demonstrate control, the alien ordered. Lyra froze, her muscles tensed as the collar waited for a command. Aaron did not give one. She is not a tool, he said. She is a person. The inspector's eyes narrowed. That is not how the market classifies her. Markets don't define morality, Aaron replied. Silence filled the channel. The inspector smiled thinly. We will observe further, it said. Compliance is expected. The channel closed. Lyra's knees gave out. Aaron caught her before she hit the floor. He hesitated, then gently let go. I'm sorry, he said. I should have warned you. She shook her head. No, she whispered. You stood for me. Her voice broke. No one had ever done that. That night, Lyra slept for the first time without sitting upright. And for the first time, she dreamed. Not of pain, but of open space. The inspector did not wait long. 2 cycles after the message, another notice arrived. This one was not polite. It was short, cold, and full of legal symbols that made Lyra's chest tighten just by looking at them. Aaron read it once. Then again. They're escalating, he said quietly. Lyra sat across from him at the small table in the common area. She had started sitting there recently instead of hiding in her room. That alone felt dangerous. What does that mean? She asked. It means they don't like losing control, Aaron replied. And they don't like that you're still you. She touched the collar without thinking. It means they will test me again, she said. Yes, he admitted, but this time it won't be the usual test. Her fingers trembled. In my culture, she said slowly, when officials come more than once, it means they are looking for an excuse. Aaron nodded. In mine too. The ship hummed around them. Safe, quiet, fragile. The test came through a live inspection, not a holocall this time. A small official transport docked with Aaron's ship while they were traveling through a trade corridor. Lyra watched the airlock seal with a sick feeling in her stomach. 3 inspectors entered. They wore clean uniforms and calm expressions. Their eyes were sharp, curious, dangerous. This is a welfare inspection, the lead inspector said smoothly. We are here to ensure proper asset management. Asset, the word still cut. Aaron stood beside Lyra, not in front of her, not behind her. Ask your questions, he said. The inspector looked at Lyra. State your designation. Lyra swallowed. I am Lyra, she said. I am Keshari. The inspector raised a brow ridge. Incorrect, state your ownership classification. Her mouth went dry. She felt the collar stir, waiting. Aaron spoke before she could force the words out. She is sentient, he said, and she has a name. The inspectors exchanged glances. This human continues to misunderstand market law, one of them said. No, Aaron replied calmly. I understand it very well. That's why I'm documenting everything. He gestured to the active recorder at the side of the room. That changed the mood. Officials hated records. They asked questions, endless questions. Had she disobeyed? Had she resisted? Had she been corrected? Lyra answered truthfully. No. Her body waited for a command that did not come. Aaron did not look at her. He looked at the inspector. She will not, he said. That violates protocol, the inspector snapped. Then charge me, Aaron replied. But understand this, any forced activation of the collar during an inspection must be justified and recorded. The inspector hesitated. They all knew the rule. Abuse hidden behind routine was still abuse when seen clearly. Slowly, the inspector lowered their hand. This inspection will continue, they said tightly, but the balance had shifted. After they left, Lyra collapsed onto the floor. Her entire body shook. Aaron crouched nearby, not touching her. You did well, he said. I didn't do anything, she whispered. You chose not to obey, he replied. That matters. She looked up at him, eyes wide. I didn't know I could choose. Aaron smiled sadly. Most systems survive by convincing people they can't. The pressure did not stop. Messages arrived daily, requests, warnings. Thinly hidden threats. Aaron answered them all, calm, polite, relentless. He cited laws no one used, clauses buried under decades of neglect. Rights written but ignored because enforcing them was inconvenient. Humans were good at inconvenient things. They will try to isolate you, he told Lyra one evening. They'll say I'm manipulating you. She hugged her knees. What if they're right? She asked. He looked at her carefully. Do you feel controlled? He asked. She thought. No orders, no punishments, no fear when she spoke. No, she said. Then they're wrong, he replied. Simple, human logic was strange. Something unexpected happened. Other ships began sending messages, quiet ones, private ones. A cargo captain asked about unusual compliance reports. Yes, Aaron agreed, and learning. That scared her more than inspectors. What if it makes things worse? She asked. He met her gaze. Change always does, he said, before it gets better. One cycle later, Aaron finally did something Lyra had been both longing for and fearing. He deactivated the collar, not removed, just deactivated. The light went dark. Lyra gasped, falling to her knees as her body adjusted. No shock came, no command, nothing. She cried harder than she ever had before. Aaron stayed where he was, giving her space. You're still legally protected, he said, but now your body is yours. She touched her neck, shaking. I don't know who I am without it, she whispered. That's okay, he said gently. You don't have to know yet. The system reacted immediately. A final notice arrived. This one carried authority marks she had never seen. They are ordering a full seizure, Aaron said grimly. They want to take you back. Her blood turned to ice. But they won't succeed, he said, because they'd have to admit why. He showed her the compiled records. Every inspection, every refusal to abuse, every clause cited, every witness message, a web of truth. You built this, she said softly. We built it, he corrected. She stood straighter. Then she did something that surprised them both. I want to speak, she said. To who? Aaron asked. To everyone. The broadcast went out through trade channels, legal, public, impossible to erase. Lyra spoke slowly, clearly. She did not scream, she did not accuse. She told the truth, about fear, about silence. About how kindness felt more terrifying than pain at first. She told them what freedom actually looked like. The system tried to shut it down. Too late. When the message ended, Lyra's hands shook. Aaron looked at her with quiet pride. You just did something very human, he said. She blinked. I'm not human. No, he agreed, but you stood up anyway. As the ship moved forward, Lyra looked out at the stars. They no longer felt unreachable. The system had pushed back, and for the first time in her life. She pushed back too. The broadcast could not be erased. That was the system's first mistake. They tried, of course. Filters were applied. Channels were blocked. Warnings were sent to stations that replayed Lyra's message, but the words had already spread. Trade routes were slow, but people were not. Messages jumped from ship to ship, from station to station, from quiet corners where slaves listened without moving. Lyra's voice was not powerful because it was loud. It was powerful because it was calm. She had not begged. She had not accused, she had simply told the truth. And the truth was something the system had never learned how to fight. The response came fast, too fast, official channels filled with statements. This is an isolated case. The collar still hung around her neck, dark and inactive. She had not asked to remove it yet, not because she needed it, because she wanted the system to see it. "They say I'm confused," she said quietly. "They always do," Aaron replied. "It's easier than admitting you're right." Inspection stopped, not because the system approved, but because every inspector now carried risk. Witnesses recorded everything. Clerks whispered. Dock workers asked questions they had never dared ask before. Kindness had become contagious, and that terrified those in power. A formal summons arrived, not an arrest, not yet a hearing, public, interstellar, legal. "They want to control the story," Aaron said. "They won't," Lyra replied, her voice surprised even her. The hearing chamber was massive. Holographic seats filled with observers from dozens of species. Officials floated above in neat formations, their expressions carefully neutral. Lyra stood at the center platform, not restrained, not commanded, just standing. Aaron stood a step behind her, silent. The lead authority spoke. "This case has disrupted economic stability," it said. "One individual does not override a system." Lyra lifted her head. "I am not one," she said. A murmur spread through the chamber. She continued. "I was taught silence. I was trained to endure. I believed fear was my purpose." She looked around. "Then I met a human who did nothing heroic. He did not fight. He did not threaten. He simply refused to be cruel." The authority shifted. "That is emotional manipulation," it said. "No," Lyra replied calmly. "It is contrast." Others were allowed to speak. A station medic described treating slaves who expected pain for asking questions. A trader admitted he had never read the laws that allowed emancipation, because no one ever used them. A former slave spoke through tears, saying Lyra's voice was the first time she felt seen. The system listened, and cracked, not loudly, but enough. The final argument came from the authorities. "Removing slavery will collapse trade," they warned. "Chaos will follow." Aaron finally spoke. "Humans heard that before," he said, all eyes turned to him. "We were told ending exploitation would destroy us," he continued. "We were told suffering was necessary." He met the authorities' gaze. "We survived anyway." Silence followed, heavy, unavoidable. The ruling was delayed, not denied, delayed. That alone was a victory. Outside the chamber, messages flooded in. More broadcasts, more testimonies, more humans offering legal help, transport, sanctuary. Lyra watched it all in disbelief. "I didn't mean to start this," she said. Aaron smiled gently. "Neither did most people who changed history," he said. That night, as the ship traveled onward, Lyra finally reached for the collar. "Will you remove it?" she asked. Aaron nodded. Carefully, he opened it and lifted it away. The weight vanished. She breathed deeply. Nothing replaced it. No command, no fear, just space. "I'm free," she whispered. "Yes," he said, "and so are a lot of others now." She looked out at the stars again. This time they felt close, not because the universe had changed, but because she had. Far away, systems adjusted. New laws were reviewed. She was proof.